Good morning, ladies and gents. How you all doing out there? Now, this video is a follow-on video to a video I made a few months ago regarding shot calling and strategy in territory war. I'm going to go into a lot more advanced topics in this video. So if you are looking at a basic how to get into shot calling, how to get into strategy, how to improve your territory war game, no matter what your role in it is, then definitely go back and have a look at that first video. There are going to be things in this video as well that you are going to be wanting to hear, to listen to and to understand, but actually you're going to need a bit of a base level of knowledge by actually watching that first video first and then coming back to this one afterwards, and things will make a lot more sense to you because I am going to progress on some of the topics from that first video. So although this video is titled Strategy and Shot Calling Masterclass, it is relevant for every single person, whether you are literally just down in the battle, actually fighting on the front lines, or if you are the house's predetermined shot caller or strategist maker, or a bit of everything. To be honest, this video will be very relevant to no matter what your role is in territory wars. There's going to be a couple of things I will kind of recap in this video from the first video, and then I'm going to progress into more advanced topics, looking really this time around at the kind of psychology aspects, psychological factors which come into play when playing such a thing as territory war. So shot calling strategy in territory war. In that first video I go over just how important it is that you have a proper strategy, proper tactics and a proper shot caller in territory wars. That can make or break, that can win or lose you territory wars, and that has been proven time and time again. Now I'm going to very quickly just recap on the communications, because this is going to be relevant to every single person. Communications in territory wars are vitally important. You need to keep those comm channels clear. So if you are shot calling, or if you're even relaying information to a squad or back to the shot caller, then your information needs to be accurate, it needs to be brief, it needs to be concise. Remember ABC: accurate, brevity, concise. So accuracy obviously stands for make sure what you're saying is very accurate. Brief is brief and to the point, so you can open those comms channels back up again. And then concise means you are saying exactly what you need to be saying to that person and not umming or ahhing or not really making a lot of sense. Make sure that actually you are telling whoever you're telling whatever you're telling them and the reasons why as well, but very, very briefly to get those comm channels back open to actually allow other people to talk on them when needed. So actually communications are vitally important, but the role of a shot caller is vitally important as well. It's also multifaceted, which means that actually not only are you given direction and orders in a battle, you are also there to encourage, to motivate, to enthuse your team constantly throughout the battle. Whether you're winning or losing does not matter, you are there as that person in charge. So take control of a battle. Territory wars, shot calling territory wars are a difficult thing to kind of get into the mindset of, because actually you are telling people you usually play with, like normal sieges with, that actually you need to do this, you need to go there, you need to do that. It might kill you, you might lose a bit of bronze, but there is going to be a reason I'm telling you to do these things, so just go and do them. So shot calling, like I said, is you are the lead person in a battle. If you are not a confident shot caller, people are going to pick up on that. People are then either going to not listen to you, they're going to go off and start doing their own things, or they're going to have a very severe lack of faith in your shot calling abilities. So before you even step into the shoes of being a shot caller, really improve upon your public speaking, get used to actually telling and ordering people what to do. You don't need to be a dictator about it at all. There are ways of doing it tactfully, but also very authoritatively, so actually people get the message, understand that it's going to be for a reason, and then they go off and just do it. Keep it simple as well. You don't want to be barking out orders which are going to be confusing, which are going to take a little bit of time for people to work out what you actually mean, because actually that's going to cost you time, and it's going to cost that person time in actually moving to a position, doing what they need to do as well. So keep your orders simple. That ABC, that accuracy, brevity and clarity applies to not only everybody on the battlefield but also the shot caller as well. Keep it brief, don't be talking and talking and talking, because actually people still need to voice up on the comms and tell you what is happening, and you may have missed certain things or you may not be aware of certain things actually developing in a battle. And if someone just voices up very quickly something's going off on like the right flank, then straight away you can divert your attention over to that and have a good glimpse into actually if you need to be focusing on that or not. So keep those comm channels clear. Now, territory wars. People do this in normal sieges, but in territory wars it is far greater psychological aspect in terms of people panicking. People actually sometimes lose their own self-control in the response to that level of threat, that risk of threat and risk of danger presented by the enemy team. So just take yourself out of just actually watching this video and think about being in a territory war, staring down a 4-group full cavalry like group, so winged hussars, 4 of them, 4 units of winged hussars, and they've all started charging towards you. What is that instinct? What is that gut feeling you got right then? I bet you it is sheer panic, sheer terror, and actually, oh my god, I'm just about to get flattened here. That is what goes through people's minds, not only because they're actually getting charged at by cavalry, but they also don't want to let the house down, they don't want to let their team down, they also don't want to let down the shot caller either. So actually people put a lot of stress, put a lot of pressure on themselves, especially in territory wars, and you as a shot caller and you as officers and strategists need to account for this really seriously. If you want to get the best out of people in your house, you need to account for this. Everybody is different age, different range of backgrounds, different experience, different knowledge, different skills. You need to account for the fact people are going to panic, and you as a shot caller need to keep that encouragement and that motivation going, and actually refocusing and making sure people are focused on what their specific goals and aims are, because actually this is another reason why you want to keep it really simple, because you don't want to be confusing people to the point where actually they then don't understand what they're doing, they feel like they're letting the team down, and all of a sudden they've died. So actually it's no help to anyone. Keep everything simple, keep that constant motivation up. People will panic, even the best shot callers, best officers, the best trainers, people will still panic in territory wars, but it is your job, not only as a shot caller but as officers and raid leaders in that battle as well, to keep people focused and to you'll never be able to get rid of the fear, but you can minimize it. But you need to actually, as a strategist or as a shot caller, you need to not only be looking at what the enemy are doing, but you also need to be looking at what your own guys are doing, because sometimes when you ask people to do stuff, they will either be reluctant to do it, they'll go off and do their own thing again, or actually they're so in such a stage and such a state of panic and shock they can't actually respond to what they're being told. If you are finding people starting to do that, you're going to have to very quickly dynamically risk assess what is going on in that battle, how you can actually go about fixing and making sure that you are bringing your team back to a good, clear-headed kind of state of mind, so you can then start issuing out orders again, getting the best out of your people. So players are the guys and girls on the battlefield, on the front line. They can see directly ahead of them. More experienced players with a little bit more of awareness, will be able to tell what's going on around them as well, but people will get overcome and overrun very quickly in territory wars. You as a shot caller need to be 2 steps ahead at least all the damn time, because if you aren't ahead and the enemy does something that you are not prepared for, it is going to be very difficult to actually respond to that threat, rather than actually preemptively preempting it and getting ready for it anyway. It's very difficult to actually respond to a threat that is currently ongoing, then actually respond to a threat before it's actually started. So again, as a shot caller, you need to be confident and you need to be able to not tunnel vision on a certain area of the map. So you're going to be in strategist, you're going to be in overview mode, and you need to keep constant obs all the way around that map. You are the person in control, you are the person in charge, but actually if you're missing major parts of the battle by focusing just on, say, the gate, if you're defending and not looking at the walls or anything around, people are going to start taking control out of your hands, and they are going to take over the shot calling because they are starting to lose confidence in your ability to call, because you are missing big enemy plays like that, which could quite easily turn the kind of tide of battle around very, very quickly. Players on the ground do need to make their own judgment calls. Even if they're told to go into areas, they need to make their own judgment calls. It's not all down to the shot caller to go tell people to go there, do this, all the rest of it. You are just, as a shot caller, directing resources into a specific area. The people on the ground need to make their own judgment calls, whether it's actually going to be beneficial for them to get involved, try and kill a couple of enemy heroes, kill some units, or to actually stack up, wait for reinforcements, get their units sorted out and ready to actually brace against an enemy attack and then possibly counter that enemy attack as well, which kind of leads me on to my next point. You need to deploy a buttload of different tactics during territory wars, especially in the higher level territory wars. You need to be very, very knowledgeable and also skilled in the deployment of certain tactics, such as counter attacks, of actually tactful and strategic withdrawing and collapsing back to points as well is another one, and not actually being afraid to call that tactful retreat, so people can actually come back, sort themselves out, get the units, stack up, and then start a counter push, a counter attack. You need to know and you need to best predict when that is actually the best call to do. Sometimes it's going to be better to turtle up on a point. Sometimes it's better to actually totally forget that point, because if you're going to lose 12 guys or girls actually trying to defend that point, actually it might be better to tactfully withdraw, leave a couple to actually kind of slow their advance so everybody else can get away, get stacked back up, get ready to rock as one big single unit, and then go from there. But this is it, every single battle is different. Every single battle, whether it's even against the same people, is different. They are going to deploy different strategies, different tactics, they're going to try different avenues of attack, and you need to be constantly aware things are going to change very, very quickly in a fight. So the role of strategists and the role of shot caller and the role of officers and trainers is very, very difficult, and hats off to anyone that actually goes forward and puts yourself up for them. They are very rewarding. They are also very challenging, because if you even make a couple of mistakes, it can very quickly bite you in the ass. So you need to be on your A game all the single time. All the single time, why do I keep saying that? All the damn time. All the damn time, be on your A game. So, not only are you having to take into consideration the psychological aspects of your own team, you're going to have to take into consideration the psychological aspects of the enemy team as well. If they have just come charging in, say, and they've lost 10 dudes, they're going to be pretty demoralised for a couple of minutes while they sort themselves out, while they stack back up, sort their units out, kind of rethink a kind of tactic and avenue of attack. And actually sometimes that's when you best push out. That's sometimes when you can sally out or sally in, depending on if you're attacking or defending. This again, you've got to really be on it all the time as a shot caller, and you need to be constantly changing, staying flexible, staying adaptable to what is actually happening. Don't ever go in closed-minded thinking this is what we're going to do, this is all we're going to do. If it doesn't work, we're just going to keep trying it, because actually it just does not work like that. You need to constantly be changing, constantly be flexible, and constantly adapt your response to their response, and so on and so forth. So you've got things like counter-attacks and stuff like that. They are very, very important. So you have probably all seen it in sieges, if not territory war battles. Actually, once an enemy takes a point, they will gain momentum. They will start to put the pressure on, because their morale is all of a sudden heightened. Their adrenaline now is starting to kick in, because they're getting that real surge of, yeah, we're winning this, we can just keep going, keep pushing, get that momentum, keep going. this is where you need to use people like respawning in with cavalry to disrupt any momentum gained by that enemy team. Do not allow them to push forward, to press forward. You've got to stop that momentum as soon as you can, because actually the more momentum people gain, the harder it's going to be to stop. So you can do this thing, you can do this a variety of different ways. Obviously it's going to be far more ways than I can actually explain, but there's going to be ways such as actually using respawners to go in, cav charge, go back, get their infantry, sort out for defense, or you've got things like distraction as well, where you've got a couple of dual bladers running around to, say, supply points in the enemy lines, which is going to pull people back to actually defend those supply lines. There's a few different tactics and a few different ways of actually making sure that you can disrupt that enemy momentum. Again, don't be afraid to call attack for a tactile withdraw, because sometimes that is going to be the best play, but again, every situation is different. One big psychological aspect which a lot of people do forget as well is the actual tiredness and stress level of players. Now, if players have been outside and they've been attacked, they've been intercepted, they've had their field camp destroyed, already they're starting off the battle pretty stressed because they've lost all this kind of advantage that they did have. Take this in mind as well. If you are playing the same 15 players in the top 15 every single time, they're going to get stressed, they are going to get tired, and you need to rotate people in and out, because that is the best way of developing an overall solid team. Rather than just focusing on 15 or 20 people, you are better to have 40 or 50 people. So actually the only way they're going to gain that experience is by rotating them in, rotating them out, and making sure that actually you are keeping in mind everybody's stress level, including your own as well, because your stress is going to go through the roof, especially if things ain't working the way you want. Your stress will go through the roof. I can personally tell you that's what's going to happen. So just be very mindful of your own stress levels as well. So another thing to keep in mind is as well, defending is generally easier. Do not under or overestimate enemies though, because actually defending, although some easier generally than attacking, it will likely press or place more stress on people, because actually if those defenders mess up and kind of lose that fief, you don't know how many of them have their camps there. That's going to be a massive bronze detriment to them, and they're going to have that in the back of their minds, thinking if we lose this, it's going to cost me millions. So that is something else to be very mindful of as well. Very last point for this video is, win or lose, there's always lessons to be learned, so make sure you learn from them. Sometimes these lessons are going to be good, like as in, we've won, this is what we did really well, this is what we need to improve on and make sure that we can do even better next time. Obviously with losses, if something has gone drastically wrong, look into it. Do not be afraid or shy away from it. Actually look into it, learn from it, understand the reasons for actually why it's happened and what's happened, and then you can actually look to solve the cause of it so it doesn't happen again. So this video has gone on for a little bit, and I have proper just gone on in this one, but I hope that you have enjoyed this one. I've started to go into a lot more advanced kind of topics with shot calling and strategy in territory wars. Obviously some if not all of these apply actually in siege battles as well, so for people that aren't strategists, for people that aren't officers or shot callers, actually you can use these kind of tips and stuff to actually improve your own siege games as well. So it's definitely worthwhile sharing this video around and making people aware of it. Hit that like button if you have, leave me your comments below, let me know if there's anything massive like I've missed, or if there's anything that actually you want me to further explain or go on to or make another video about in terms of this. If you haven't yet already, if you hit that sub button, I would really appreciate it. It'd be very kind of you. But as always folks, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope to catch you out on the battlefield.